The sun had already set behind the horizon, casting an eerie darkness over the deserted plains. The silence was disrupted only by the howling of the wind and the distant moans of the undead. The small village of Willow Creek had become the last hope of survival for a group of soldiers as they barricaded themselves in a desperate last stand against the approaching horde of zombies. The soldiers had arrived in the village days earlier, hoping to restock their supplies and gather reinforcements, only to find the streets littered with the lifeless bodies of the undead. They had tried to flee, but the roads were already clogged with abandoned vehicles, and the only option was to take refuge in the village and prepare for the inevitable. With their ammunition dwindling, the soldiers had rigged the houses and the streets with traps and barricades, hoping to buy themselves enough time to make a final stand. They waited, breaths held and guns loaded, as the horde of zombies stumbled closer and closer. As the first wave of undead crashed against the barricades, the soldiers opened fire, their guns barking in the darkness. The streets erupted into a chaotic frenzy of blood and violence as the soldiers fought desperately for their survival. But as the night wore on, something else stirred in the darkness. The soldiers began to hear strange noises, unworldly sounds that chilled them to the bone. And then they saw them, shadowy figures, flitting through the darkness, their eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. The soldiers were quickly overwhelmed, caught between the relentless assault of the zombies and the elusive attackers that darted in and out of the shadows. They fought with all their might, but their numbers dwindled as the night wore on. As the dawn broke, the surviving soldiers found themselves huddled together in a small group, their backs against a wall. They had fought bravely, but they knew that their fate was sealed. And then, as the first rays of sunlight touched the horizon, the shadows began to dissipate, revealing the source of the soldiers' terror. A group of creatures, not quite human, not quite undead, but something altogether different. And they were hungry. The surviving soldiers realized that their fight had only just begun, as they faced a new enemy, one that they had never seen before. They knew that they had to stand together and fight, no matter what the cost. The surviving soldiers watched in horror as the creatures advanced towards them. The ground shook as they charged forward, their eyes fixed on their prey. With their backs against the wall and their ammunition running low, the soldiers prepared to face the unspeakable terror, unsure of what would happen next. The fate of humanity rested on their shoulders, and they knew that they had to be ready for whatever came next.